Good morning and welcome to another Wednesday One Thing. I'm here with my co-host, Hamza. Hamza, how are you doing today, man?
I'm good, Maury. How about yourself?
I'm doing wonderful. Today, we have a very exciting piece of news from the week before. And as you can see from my background, it's a colorful story, but it's a really great warning to you marketers out there who are running big brands with established ways of thinking. So the news today comes from the previous week, and it is this TikTok sort of viral star. His name was Tony, just an average university student. He was working at a Sherwin-Williams paint store, and he created a viral sensation just by mixing paints and putting that on TikTok. He was able to amass a million people following on his platform. But when Sherwin-Williams caught wind of this, they actually fired him from his job. So they said he was being negligent. They said he was thieving, thefting from the company, wasting time, and putting them in a bad position for bad publicity. And this sort of runs counter to everything that I would expect a good marketing team would think. This guy created a really passionate brand following with his followers on TikTok. He was able to generate lots of impressions for free and also among a demographic that is not traditionally interested in paint. So from a marketing perspective, a brand, you want to take advantage of this. But instead, sort of the opposite happened. Thankfully, there is a good resolution to this. He did get approached by every other big paint brand to actually hire him. And in the end, he did get hired by a Florida paint company called Florida Paints, and they're allowing him to continue to make this content. But I wanted to get your opinion on this, Hamza, seeing as though most people right now are glued in front of their phones. We've had so many viral moments like this happen in the past. Just off the top of my head, with Ocean Spray, what does this mean in the world of tech communications and viral moments for really just the average brand? And what should founders be thinking of news stories like this?
Yeah, great points, Maury. I think it comes down to the value of creative content and how important producing creative content or authentic content is for brands. In this instance, like you could kind of see where the employer was coming from, although it's quite obvious it wasn't a very good decision to take from a marketing perspective. At the same time, I think companies are a little conflicted in the modern day and age about whether or not employee influencers are a net positive or a net negative. I think it's something that maybe time will tell a lot better. And certainly, to break it down, it probably helps more, doesn't it, to have like alternate sources of marketing and building your company's image than just relying on ads, than just relying on a marketing agency, which is obviously tried and tested and very, very efficient and very, very good ways of growing your brand. But employee influencers, because of how easy it is to create creative content now, I think just pose a different sort of challenge to most companies' branding strategies. But at the same time, yes, there's a bit of risk, but the reward can also be pretty awesome, as it could have been for Tones for the paint company that fired this particular TikTok influencer.
I just want to jump in and say, like, Modern Retail also just covered this.
Yeah.
They said that brands are just flummoxed by what to do with employee influencers, and so this isn't just exclusive to Sherwin-Williams.
Yeah.
Best Buy, Chick-fil-A, they noted some other brands that have kind of struggled with where to draw the line. And I remember when Twitter was just popping off, when people would tweet and they were associated with a certain company, so that Twitter followers would go after that company if someone tweeted something that was particularly offensive. And so that's why you see on Twitter people saying, not associated with blah, all opinions are my own. So I'm curious, like, in today's age, like, where's the line that brands should be taking with their own employee influencers? And yeah, like, how can you draw a good balance? Because in my opinion, this is like a complete wasted opportunity for Sherwin-Williams. And if you go to their Twitter account, you can see that people are piling on them for making such a bad decision.
Yeah, again, probably not a good decision on net, but you can see where they were coming from. Just because if this isn't a strategy that they had planned out, for this to pop up out of nowhere was exposing the company to a certain kind of risk. I think fundamentally, like when it comes to branding or just expanding the brand, which is so important when you're especially when you're selling a consumer product, you want to get as authentic as possible, and that authenticity is only amplified when it's coming from someone like an employee, right, who's doing it on their own time. But at the same time, it's a very thin line to walk. It does. Think about it like this: what kind of values does the brand represent, and does that employee and their influencer page represent the same values? If yes, then this is an easy winner. If no, then that opens you up to more conversations about you potentially streamlining or changing or affecting the content being created by the employee. It is all down to whether or not this works out for the company, and it's not necessary that expanding employee influencing would. At the same time, it does appear pretty obvious that any company that doesn't look into employee influencers, or any brand that isn't using things like TikTok or individual creative content to expand their brand, and is only relying on sort of the more tried and tested techniques, is potentially leaving some money on the table, and also leaving some brand awareness restricted.
Okay, so we are also heading into, again, we keep saying this, the biggest time for retail ever. A lot of the companies we work with have really interesting brands, and you never know how your customers are going to interact with your product. So I mentioned this just at the top of the program, but there was this thing that happened with Ocean Spray, where just a customer created such a viral moment by just using a skateboard, drinking the Ocean Spray, playing Fleetwood Mac, and they created this viral sensation. So what do you think brands should do with customers who create content like this? How should they interact with them? How should they be open to working with customers who can take the message into their own hands?
I think it's so crucial. I think it's so important for brands to interact more with their customers on any given day, but especially when the customers are creating content that can help the brand grow. Again, it comes from a place of authenticity. It comes from a place of experience. It's like it could be like a literal walking, talking referral. Everyone understands that when a referral is the strongest way to generate a new customer. When someone refers your product, there's nothing quite like it. And to have someone who has an influential reach on social media, on Instagram or TikTok, doing the same, and doing it from doing it by creating their own content, by doing it for their own benefit, but involving your product in it, or by representing your brand values, or by just pitching how amazing your product has been for them. All those things are so important for brands, especially in a time like this, because you think about Q4 this year, right? October, November, December. This has been one long e-commerce season, right? People have been getting deals online for 6 weeks now. Prime Day was a lifetime ago at this point. There are so many eyeballs. There's so much attention towards the e-commerce fair. There's so many ads. There's so many platforms running pitches from different kinds of consumer brands. It is absolutely crucial to find different ways of creating consumer engagement. And if that means bringing in employee influencers or customer influencers, it's crucial to use all those methods.
I think you're 100% right. And just to contrast this story, GameStop a few weeks ago mentioned that they were trying to figure out a way to actually get their employees, even paying them to post more on TikTok. So I think this is a trend that we're going to see more of in the future. I think this was a big miss for Sherwin-Williams. Thankfully, this individual was now offered a job at a place that will embrace his creativity. But I think the message here for brands out there is embrace how people are using your product, change the way you're thinking, especially if it can get you some unpaid marketing, especially in this time where people are just glued to their phones and begging for this kind of content. So we'll leave it there. If you have any suggestions for us for future news, I'll leave it in the comments, and we will talk to you guys next week. Cheers.